What's up, everybody? Artist Anderson here, and I'm going to be talking about integrity, a character trait that every successful spouse must possess. All right. Integrity. Everyone wants a faithful spouse. Everyone wants an honest spouse. Everyone wants someone they can trust. But all of those things come from one deeper quality, and that's integrity. Integrity isn't just about not cheating or not lying or, not being deceptive or things of that nature. It's about being the same person everywhere you go, everywhere you are. And you cannot build a healthy marriage if your character changes depending on who's watching. Marriage is built on trust. Trust is built on consistency, and consistency is built on integrity. So, by definition, integrity is the quality of being whole, complete, honest, and morally consistent. And those things are required in order to be a trustworthy spouse. So, integrity simply means, or literally means, nothing is missing from the person you claim to be. Your words, your actions, your private life, your public life, all of those things agree. And they're all in tune and in step with each other. Your words don't disagree with your actions. Your actions aren't separate from your private life. Your private life isn't different from your public life. It's all intricately interconnected into one being, and that's you. So integrity is when your life tells one story every single time, all the time, and your spouse can depend on that. So a lot of people think integrity is only about being honest, right? It is. And honesty is telling the truth, but integrity is living the truth. Someone can tell the truth today, but not be honest. Honesty and truth equal transparency. So, as a spouse, in order for your marriage to be healthy and successful, you must be transparent. You can't just be honest and you can't just tell the truth because you could tell the truth and still be dishonest. You can be honest and still leave out truth. So the two combined is transparency, and that's what you want to be. That's integrity. So if someone can tell the truth today and still lack integrity because tomorrow they become someone different. So integrity means I remain faithful to my values, regardless of the pressure, the convenience, the opportunity, the circumstance, the situation, or who's around. It is internal consistency that make up integrity. It is character without an audience. It's even behind closed doors when nobody's watching except God, because he's always watching. Who are you? What are you doing? Who is the person that shows up in public and in private? So let's talk about how integrity works in general life. Integrity creates predictability, which is a healthy thing in marriage because nobody wants to wake up every day and figure out what's going to happen today with you, right? So if you're going to be a person of integrity, or if your spouse is going to be a person of integrity, there has to be some level of predictability to you. People trust what is predictable. Imagine two bridges. One bridge holds every single time, no matter what's coming across it. The other bridge only collapse maybe one every 10 crossings. So which bridge are you going to trust? Matter of fact, which spouse are you? Are you the spouse that no matter what's going on, you're consistent and predictable and you can hold the weight? Or are you the other spouse where you might collapse maybe once or twice every 10 times? See, that's what integrity is. It's knowing that who I'm with, or the person that I'm with, knowing that I am reliable, trustworthy, and predictable and most of the time, at least, right? Because predictability breeds trust. So integrity works the same way. People trust consistency, whether it's work, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's business. People trust consistency. And people give responsibility to people whose character is dependable. And marriage is a great responsibility. It's going to the altar and saying, "Hey, I'm leaving my life in your hands, or I'm leaving my heart in your hands." So integrity creates credibility. And without credibility, relationships slowly begin to deteriorate. And for a lot of relationships and marriages, the lack of credibility is at the core, the real issue as to why your marriage is struggling. Now, if you need marriage counseling, if you need help, please reach out to us. TRY, the number 4, everlove.com. Book a free consultation, or you can text us or call us at 702-757-1931, free of charge. All right. Now, how does integrity benefit marriage? Marriage runs on trust. Love may start the relationship, even though most relationships start with lust. You might have other things you desire or admire about the person, but at the end of the day, the only way a marriage is going to last if trust is at the core. There must be trust. So integrity gives your spouse emotional safety. Your spouse knows, my husband means what he says, or my wife follows through. They're the same person when they're at work. When they go out on Friday night with their friends, they're the same person when they're out at the lounge or the restaurant. Whether it's with friends, online, or at home, I know this person and I know who they are, and they're consistent and they're reliable and they're credible. Even if I hear see, this is what integrity does. Even when you hear foolishness or lies or some type of made up stories or that sound like truth or sound like it could be real, if you have integrity and your spouse knows you are trustworthy and dependable and credible, those rumors, those lies, those deceitful little things that might try to rumors that might try to roam around, your spouse won't even believe it because you are credible and you have integrity. You have integrity. So that level of integrity, it produces peace, it creates intimacy, it makes vulnerability safe, it breeds confidence in the marriage. But without integrity, your spouse is always wondering, and wondering eventually becomes worry. And worry becomes a bunch of questions, and a bunch of questions mean you don't really know me like that, or you questioning me because you don't really know like what the truth is, and you don't want to be in that place in your marriage, because worrying eventually becomes suspicion, and suspicion destroys marriages, especially when the other person is not willing to be transparent to dissolve the suspicion. So let me say something about this real quick. If there's trouble in your marriage and the other person is suspicious, a person of integrity has no problem answering questions on the dime, answering as many questions as possible. They will not deflect, and they will resolve whatever uncomfortability their spouse has, because one, people with integrity have nothing to hide. And there is no questions asked. Whatever you need, babe, I got you. You know why? Because I'm a man or a woman of integrity and I have nothing to hide. There's no secrets. What's the point of getting defensive if there's nothing to hide, nothing wrong. What's the point of being defensive? What's the point of being aggressive? Just give your spouse what they ask for and be done with it. So integrity shows up in hundreds of little moments. It's the keeping the promises, keeping your words, showing up on time, maintaining boundaries. It is handling money honestly, being transparent, owning your mistakes, doing what's right even when your spouse will never find out about it. Marriage is not strengthened by a bunch of romantic gestures. It's strengthened by thousands of moments where integrity will quietly say, you can depend on me. You can trust me. Imagine a husband telling a wife, I'll be home at 6. Traffic delays him. And instead of disappearing, he calls, he communicates, he apologizes, he keeps his word whenever possible. And over the years, she learns my husband is dependable. Now, that is what builds trust. That is what builds credibility. That is what builds reliability. And that's a person of integrity. Again, a husband says, I'll be home at 6. Traffic happens. Situations happens. Instead of just showing up late, he calls. He communicates. He even apologizes, even though it's not his fault. It's just the caring thing to do. Because he wants to keep his word whenever possible. And over time, the wife appreciates that. And the wife learns that, you know what? Even in situations where he couldn't call me, I know the type of man he is. And the same goes for a wife. So compare that dynamic with someone who constantly says, I'm on my way. I'm almost there. I forgot. I'll get to it tomorrow. And then next week comes, I get to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, I get to it next week. And then next week I get to it. See, you lose credibility. And that is the epitome of lacking integrity. Because the biggest thing about integrity is your word being connected to the character of who you are. So think of integrity like the foundation of a house. Nobody visits a home to admire the foundation. They admire the kitchen and the living room and the decorations and the bathrooms. But if the foundation cracks or if it has issues with the foundation, everything above it is going to eventually suffer. So marriage works the same way. The communication, the romance, the friendship, the sex, the parenting, the finances, everything sits on the foundation of integrity. If the foundation is weak, the whole house will shift, meaning the whole marriage will crumble. But integrity creates security. A couple will spend less time investigating each other when there is integrity intrinsically with both parties. And with that integrity, they get the chance to spend more time investing in each other. Arguments resolve faster when people believe the apology because I know the integrity of the person. Forgiveness becomes easier because trust already exists. Communication becomes honest because neither person fears manipulation. Neither person fears that the other person is trying to get over on them. Conflict becomes productivity when integrity is involved instead of destructive. So respect grows, intimacy deepens, peace increases. Why? Because integrity is found in the man and the woman, the husband and the wife. And children benefit too because they grow up seeing that level of integrity. and intrinsically they build it up because integrity multiplies stability naturally. But without integrity, every promise becomes questionable. Every conversation is like, I don't know. Words lose its value. Apologies lose credibility. Trust begins to disseminate. And eventually your spouse is asking questions like, hmm, are they telling me everything? Can I believe them? Hmm. How do I know they mean it this time? How do I know they telling the truth? How do I like see it becomes questioning and questioning and questioning. So three major signs that someone has integrity. Number one, their words consistently match their actions. They don't just make promises, they keep them. Their yes means yes, their no means no. And you don't have to wonder what they really mean. Sign number two that a person has integrity. They do the right thing when nobody is watching, even if it's the hard thing to do, even if it's going to upset their spouse, but it's the right thing to do. Number three, a sign that a person has integrity. They own their mistakes instead of hiding them, even though you would have never found out. So whether you find out or not, they still own up to the mistake. They still verbalize the mistake. Just in general, if they mess up, they apologize. They own it. They're accountable. Because integrity doesn't mean you're perfect or flawless. It just means you're accountable. You can admit when you're wrong, apologize sincerely, and make the corrections and move forward. Now, what are three signs that a person lacks integrity? Their words rarely match their actions. Number two, they become different people depending on who's around. Now, this is a tricky one because somebody might be more shy in public than at home. That doesn't mean they don't have integrity. What I mean is, when you're a different person, depending on who's around, signs are that you're trying to show people something, carry yourself a certain way. And the question becomes, why aren't you consistent? Why aren't you just who you naturally are? So around the church, you got one personality. Around your friends, you got a different personality. Around your coworkers, you got a different personality. Around your spouse, you got a different personality. That breeds a lack of trust and it breeds a lot of questions. So even if somebody might disagree with number two of signs a person doesn't have integrity, I will say it doesn't make it better. People love consistency. You're respectful and loving around these people, but you're prideful and arrogant around these people. It's like, what's going on? You find out you're saying this around your friends, but this around your family. It's like, why are you lying? Like, why? Why are you lying? Why not just be honest around everybody? And sign number three that someone lacks integrity. They consistently justify wrongdoing. Instead of saying I was wrong, they say things like, "Look, they made me do it. Look, you the reason why I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for you." There's a lot of blame, a lot of blame. Or they might say, "It's not a big deal. Why you tripping? Why you acting like that? Why you?" Wrongdoing needs apologies only, acknowledgement only, because those type of justifications and excuses become a lifestyle. And people without integrity spend more time protecting their image than improving their character. So if your marriage is going to work, both parties have to have integrity. And if you don't have it, you can build that up. But the most important thing to understand is your marriage will never survive without this quality. You must be a man or woman of integrity. You need this character trait in order for you to have a successful relationship or a successful marriage. All right. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, comment. Tell me down below, what are your thoughts about this video? Was it helpful? Is it beneficial? Let us know, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.